Hello and welcome to a behind the scenes video. I'm capturing this very, very early on in my idea of whatever this minigame ends up becoming, assuming it does end up becoming something, but it probably ends up being something if you're watching this. So yeah, basically, I don't even need to design this. I was just playing around in Minecraft and I had the idea of, okay, let me explain this. So have you seen Wallace and Gromit? It's in the wrong trousers. And there's a bit where they're like on a little train set. And like Gromit is riding a train, like a little tiny mini train, and he's placing down like the tracks as he's riding it. So basically he's riding along and then going like track, and just placing it as he goes. And I love Wallace and Gromit, and that scene like always sticks out in my mind. And I had the idea of like, I wonder if you can do that in Minecraft, and you kind of can, like not obviously as crazy fast as in Wallace and Gromit, but if I go and sit in the minecart, you'll see that as I ride forward, I can kind of like place track as I go, and you can even like make it, you can even like kind of turn it like that. That wasn't a very great time of me doing it, but let me try it again and see if you can make it turn it around. So the thing is, if you go really slowly, then it's not too like crazy difficult to do. But then the faster you go, the harder it is. So you could like kind of build a bit of a track like that and then go, or try and like do it as you go like this, and it's tricky but doable, which is always like a nice thing when something's like a good challenge, but a challenge which you can do, generally means there's something that you can do with it. The other thing that I like about this is if imagine if you're playing a game where you're doing that and you're like, right, we've just got tracks all over the place. You can just put down water to go and break away the tracks. Of course, I'll do some automated system with a dispenser or something. So yeah, that's really kind of the idea that I have right now. I know it's not very much, but it's something very different from anything I've ever done before, like kind of this method where you're kind of guiding yourself along. And of course, with the minecart, you don't actually need a power rail. You can kind of just go and push it and kind of guide it yourself. It's kind of difficult to change direction. Then if you do get stranded, you can place the tracks underneath the minecart and then kind of go and carry on making your way around like this. So yeah, that's kind of all the idea I have now. I don't know what the actual game's going to be. It could be a case like, Tron with like, was it like the light cycles, whatever they're called? Where they're like motorbikes that leave a trail of color behind them, and then you need to try and cut off the other person. It could be a game like that where basically you're trying to trap the other players somewhere or something. I think it'll be most fun when you're all kind of building around in the same area. Maybe like your goal is to try and get so you're on someone else's track or something. There's a lot of different opportunities kind of with this general idea. And the actual game, of course, I'd want the resetting way with the dispensers and that, but the actual game kind of just be like a big open arena. Of course, we could have some hills and stuff around. Actually, can you go up a hill in a minecart? I'm not sure if you can with just the power of pushing, and looks like you can. Okay, so yeah, we could do some areas where there's hills and stuff as well if we need to. So yeah, that is literally all the idea is right now. This isn't like anything at all right now, but yeah, seeing as I just like now had the idea and tested that out, I thought I'd show you. So yeah, let me go and do a little bit more thinking about what this game could actually be and just kind of other things you can do with the minecarts and tracks. And then yeah, I'll bring you back in and see what I came up with. Okay, I've done a bit of thinking, and I got a bit of an idea for what the game could be. So, those games where, like, you have, like, a picture or something, or just, like, an area, and, like, you basically need to, like, draw around the area, and then, like, link it back to the edge, and then all of the section in the middle kind of gets broken away, and you're normally trying to break it away while trying to avoid other things that are moving around or something. Kind of had the idea of it being like that, so at first I thought about the idea like you need to try and cover as much of your space with tracks, but then I thought that could be really boring, just going like back and forth really efficiently, which could get dull, and also at the end you'll need to like count up like every single track, which would be boring. And so I had the idea of maybe it could be like a mixture between that and then also kind of almost like snakes as well. So I've been experimenting about how like you get on the other person's track. So say if one person's building along here and the other one person's building here, of course if they end up like going like this in any way, then they're going to end up being linked up. And so I had an idea of like, maybe one person's trying to mark the area and the other one's trying to link up. The problem is even though, say, if this track was trying to link up with the other one and it went to the side here, it wouldn't link up, it would be stopped. If you rode that minecart, you could still ride onto the other person's track. So it's really easy to get onto the other person's track. So if that was like one of the main objectives, then I think that would just be too easy to do. So yeah, going back to the idea of cutting off, imagine like there's two spawns. One person starts here and the other person starts here. they then are building across, and they're trying to do what I said about, like, say if they go like this here, and then they go and cut off this area there like that, then maybe they've claimed this area. Or it could be maybe the blue person needs to capture the red area and then vice versa. So otherwise it would probably be too easy at the beginning. So maybe going like this would be good, because you're basically blocking off this area, could be the way that it works. And maybe you're doing that for a while, and then the way the game would end is when one person's minecart bangs into the other person's minecart. So let's say it went around like this for a bit, and then eventually ended up linking up, and this person's minecart here. Once you bang into the other person, then you could say then that's when the round ends, and then you'd count up all of the areas that have been like completely surrounded in minecarts. Yeah, maybe that could be a way to do it. Rather than just linking it to the edge, maybe you need to like kind of completely surround it. That might be quite tricky though, actually. Yeah, maybe it could be linked with the edge. But yeah, that's kind of the idea so far. So I think a problem with this design, which I've done now, which isn't really much of anything, is that it'd be too easy to block off just a huge area at the beginning. So say if I'm trying to stop them from getting to this area, I could immediately go straight up the middle. And then if I went across here like this, then this entire area here has been immediately blocked off, you know, by the time that they would have just arrived here. So I think maybe there's a smarter way I could kind of lay out this area, or maybe have different patches with different colors in. And I also want to make sure it doesn't get too messy, and I don't want it to be too difficult to count up at the end and like, oh, is this your section or my section? So there's a bit of playing around that I need to do, but I kind of like this already as a general concept. So yeah, I'm going to go and play around with a few different designs and different kind of versions of rules, but I think we are definitely onto something here. I'm just not entirely sure yet what it is going to be. Okay, I've changed the idea a little bit from the original idea where I said about like you kind of trying to cut off an area like this. I just think it will end up getting too confusing and awkward to add up the scores. Like, it's kind of one of the problem with Minecraft is like I can do the gameplay so that all works, but in most games, then, you know, it automatically count up the score. You'd have a score counter while you play. Of course, there's no real way for me to do that without a bunch of command blocks and stuff. And the old Xbox 360 doesn't have any of those fancy things. So I've kind of simplified it and complicated it a little bit. So we have Activator Elves and Detector Elves. I'm thinking of using both of them, not for like what their purpose is actually in Minecraft. So originally I had the idea of one person could be building out of normal Elves, and then say the other one is building out of like Detector Elves. Problem with that is like Detector Elves can't turn in corners, so that would be a bit of a disadvantage for them. It also mean like crafting loads of Detector Elves and Activator Elves, which would, you know, takes up loads more iron than the normal tracks. So what about both tracks are normal, but you're trying to take over these little squares that will be scattered around the place. Maybe some could be worth more points than others. At the moment, I've just put these 4 down here. So say you're trying to go and build over these tracks like this to mark them that you're yours. Of course, at the end, it would be difficult to know who was the person who went over it. Let me go and actually put down a minecart so I could show you how I'd play this. So if I'm on the Detector L team, I guess I'm the only member of the team. I would be placing down tracks leading them up to it, and then I would place down the detector rail on the block, basically to mark it's mine. And then let's say I'll go around this way, and whoop, okay. Oh, I can already tell this is going to be a fun game. You just got to get better at it. You can like do it so you're constantly moving and placing them, but it is a little bit tricky, especially if you've just gone around a corner, and then you can kind of end up getting yourself a little bit confused like this. But can I go in this direction? I can. So I think the best way is to kind of build ahead of yourself a little bit. But I kind of messed up a bit here because I'm trying to take over that one, but to do it I'd need to like loop around like this, and then put the detector rail there like that. And then I could kind of keep going around this way, then maybe go off in another direction like this. And as you can see, you can kind of just about keep placing and moving at the same time if you're able to do it really, really quickly like this. But it's not the easiest thing to do in the world. So yeah, that would be 2 points for me. As you can see, I've put down 2 detector rails and made a massive mess with the rest of the track here. So what it does do is it kind of does merge both things I wanted to do together. So it gives you like objectives that you need to take, and basically both players could take over those objectives. So you could either go for the ones that are close to your side or go to the ones far away to try and take over those sides. But it also gives you an opportunity to try and block some of them off. You know, maybe what you could do if you were feeling sneaky is you could go and get this one and then maybe try and like block off that one and then go and get another one or something, just to stop them from being able to get that one if you don't think you're going to get them in time. You know, it does give you quite a lot of different opportunities for capturing them. Also, Doing it this way maybe gives an opportunity to make this a 4-player game. The only thing, though, is if it's a 4-player game, is that we really only have Detector Elves and Activator Elves. Of course, there are Power Elves as well, but I don't really want to use them because you travel slower over them, so that person would have a disadvantage if they went and used the Detector Elves. There could be some set places in the map where there are Power Elves already set out, and maybe like if you end up linking onto them, it's kind of like a disadvantage because you really at this point have no choice but to go over them, and you travel over them quite slowly. Then again, you don't really travel too slowly. Maybe it's just a way to make set ones. There's a lot of different opportunities for the course. Of course, as I said earlier, we could have heals and stuff around it as well. So yeah, I think maybe keeping this as a 1v1 game will work better. It also kind of improves the strategy, because if you're like only focusing on yourself and one other player, it means there's more opportunities to come up with strategies. Of course, you could if there's 4 players, but it kind of like is too much to keep track of. Like imagine if like chess was a 4-player game and there was these like different pieces going all over the place. It's kind of too much and kind of limits the strategy a little bit, unless you're like a crazy robot and can like keep track of everything at the same time. So I think with the pace of the game, a 1v1 would be better anyway. So yeah, I'm liking the concept of this, and with the Detector Elves and the Activator Elves. So I really need to do a big think now to kind of work out, you know, what the layout of this course is actually going to be, and also continue to fine tune these rules a little bit as we go. Okay, let me show you the design I have right now. I changed it a whole bunch of times. I eventually decided to draw it on my whiteboard before building it here, which I always think is an easier way to do it, because like when you're building it, like if you do it wrong, you have to destroy it all and build it all again. It just takes ages. But if you just draw it on a whiteboard, then you can kind of visualize it a lot better before you start building it. So yeah, this is kind of the rough idea I came up with. So one of the big problems I found early on is most like symmetrical designs, when I was placing down the points you're trying to capture, which would be these points here, is they always kind of ended up in a row. Like, I mean, obviously this one could be down here or something, but in general, like when you're doing it symmetrical, they always ended up in a row, which would be fine. But the problem is imagine if like these pits weren't here, you capture this one, then all you need to do is go into a straight line here. So I've added in a bunch of pits just to break up the area. So my idea is that these ones are all worth like, say, a single point, and maybe these ones are worth 2 or maybe 3 points. I'll have to kind of balance the scoring once you take them over. One of the problems I have just discovered is basically the distance that you can place down the your tracks. So say if you went and rode a minecart to here, be very careful not to fall in the pit, you could stay here and place a minecart on both of these. Even if you are in survival where you can't place as far, you could still place on both of them. So maybe I could make the arena slightly bigger so you couldn't do that. Another option would be just to have some walls around the area. I kind of like the idea of the fact that you could fall into a pit, though. It would be so funny if someone accidentally falls into a pit. So I think I might leave them as the pit. So I think I might just kind of scale things up a little bit, especially as you can get around quite quickly. And then, of course, because there's 2 quite thin areas here, which I quite liked, because you could use these as areas to block off. I want to kind of keep it so you could always make it from one side to the other. So there's 2 kind of slow routes back here that give you another path where I'm using my power rail idea, which I spoke about earlier. So no matter what, as long as you can reach these, I guess there's no way to even block them off, because even if you try to use a rail to block it off and do that, oh yeah, so there you go. You can't block it off. That's a good way to prove it. But even if this did go like, I don't know if I can even do this if it went around that way. No, okay. Just literally there's no way to block it off. You just link up. So yeah, basically there's always going to be a safe route, and you could use that as kind of almost a quicker route, I guess, because it might even be quicker you going along the power rails rather than placing tracks. So that's just another option there. And then here, we have 3 which are relatively close to each other in a row, but if you were going to collect these 3 here, you'd have to go boom, and then like back this way and then back that way. It would still take you a little while to be able to gather them all. And then having the high value ones in the middle means that at the beginning of each game, both people are probably going to dash straight through this first one here. And it's quite nice having that, because it's almost like a guaranteed point for everyone going and getting that one first. And then they're going to go straight to either this one or that one. They might both both go for the same one or both go for one each. And then already we have both players right in the middle of the game, really close to each other, so you can kind of start trying to block each other off. And then you need to decide, you know, am I going to keep going straight forward this way and maybe try and get this one down here, and then you could maybe loop back to that one there, and then you're trying to do it faster than the other person. It kind of, you know, it kind of stops it. Say if like these ones were worth the same amount of points, then it could be a good strategy just to do what I said and go and just get these three, which would be a little bit boring compared to when you're trying to guess where the other person's going to be going and getting in their way. So yeah, I think I might scale it up a little bit. Before I do that, I think I might work out a few more of the mechanics and stuff. Of course, I do want my mechanism of collecting all of the rails up. And to be honest, I don't know how I'm going to do that, because I could, like, it's just too big of an area. I could go and drop a bunch of water down with dispensers, but they're all going to go all over the place anyway. I might just say in between rounds, we just go about with a bucket of water and just gather it that way. I think that might just be so much easier, because it would be so annoying just doing like a million dispensers in the sky. I just don't think it would be worth it. I think for the time it would save, it just 100% wouldn't be worth it to do it. So I might skip out on that element. If I was doing a smaller game like this, then it might make sense. But if we're going to be ending up doing something even bigger than that then I don't think it would make much sense. So yeah, that's kind of where we are now. I'm pretty happy with what we have so far. So I am going to go and, you know, I'm not 100% settled on the design. I am going to rethink and play around with it a little bit, and also just kind of practice kind of just playing with it by myself and kind of just seeing how fast I can move around and, you know, make sure that the games will end up interesting and there's not just one strategy which is the way to win and it's just who does it faster, because that would make things a little bit less interesting. Then of course I need to start thinking a little bit more about what the game's going to look like. I think luckily it's kind of just quite a cool design anyway, just by the way it is. So I think just playing around with the colors a little bit and the materials would be simple. I don't think I need to go and make it into anything crazy. Then also these pits here, like I'm thinking of maybe adding water into them. I think it'd be quite funny if you build over the edge and end up falling into a pit of water. I think could work quite well. I'm also thinking of I might not do it so it's split in this way with red and blue, just because it kind of makes it seem like it's, this is this is my side, the blue player, and this is the red player's side. But which isn't the case. It's all just everywhere is up for grabs. That's just the side that you start on. And kind of splitting it in those colors kind of makes you think it is a game, you know, like Flower Power, where, you know, there is the red side and the yellow side. Whereas on this, it's just one big arena and you just happen to start on either the red or the blue side. So I might play around with the colors a little bit as well. So yeah, that's going to be the next thing I'm going to work out now. But so far, so good. Okay, I just thought I'd show you some of the changes and the developments. As I'm recording this is, no joke, about a week since I recorded the last little segment. I just kind of took a break building things in my lovely world and doing other stuff. So yeah, I am now coming back in fresh, and I kind of did a bit of a redesign. So I haven't built it all on both sides yet, but as you can see, I have changed this area here just to make it raised. The reason for that was, if you're going to be getting rid of the tracks by putting down water, then it makes sense to make sure that these tracks are never going to get broken away, but they're all still power rails there. Although I have been having some thoughts about the water, because it's a bit annoying, because if I place the water, it doesn't really spread very well. Like, it kind of does, but a lot of the time, like, it just goes to, like, in a straight line to the nearest hole. So maybe we're going to have to break them away by hand anyway. But having a little hill is going to be fine either way. I also raised up the starting area, and then, yeah, I added some extra points. So it probably doesn't look as pretty now because it's not, like, completely symmetrical on both sides. But I realized that I like the idea of having another bonus one where you get 2 points, but making it a little bit out of the way and almost like at a bit of an area that you can get stuck at. I also added a bonus one here just to make it so that it's not like very easy to get a draw. Kind of impossible to get a draw almost. So basically I can imagine games going, you know, both people go down the front and they go down here, and then maybe they get these ones and the one at the back, and then I want there to be like another one just for like those kind of tiebreaker situations. Also thinking a little bit more about the rules. I like the idea of it kind of being a case where all you need to do is tap the other player and that will end the game. But if at the time when one person taps the other one, whoever tapped them, if in the game they're drawing, then that means the person who tapped them loses, which means basically you need to be ahead of the other player when you go to tap them, and you could either try and get onto their track, which would probably be the easiest way, or you could just try to like drive past them and tap them that way. So yeah, that all seemed to work fine. So I started trying to think about what the game's going to look like, and I kind of went back to something that I built recently with my Temple Pit minigame, which is themed around my Temple Trap minigame. And I thought, hey, you know what? This might be another one that makes sense. And I thought I could call it Temple Tracks, which that's the main reason. Like, I kind of didn't like the idea of building in that same style straight away again after I've just done it. But Temple Tracks just sounds so good and it just fits so well. So I've started doing a bit of a mock-up over here. So you can see the way that it's scaled up, mainly for the reason that if you go to the middle here, you can't reach either of them. And I think it gives you longer straight, so you can kind of get a bit of momentum going, and means that the games will last a little bit longer, because I think that overall the games are still going to be relatively quick. Don't worry about the lime green. I'm just kind of sticking with that for now, just kind of marking out where the point areas are going to be. But yeah, I haven't done a huge amount of the styling. You can see I've kind of decorated the pits a bit more. I think we should have these weird patterns. If you've seen this before from my Temple Pit minigame, then they had these weird patterns on the wall and kind of this color scheme. So I think I'm going to carry that across into this game, just to keep it in that same style. But of course, this just gives me lots of opportunities just to kind of decorate the area, because as I said, I wanted all of the floor to kind of be the same color, just because I don't want it to give the effect of it like, blue team and then red team, these are these are your side, stick to your side. I don't want to give that impression. So yeah, this is kind of the style I'm going for. I'm pretty happy with the way things are going so far. So before I kind of get a little bit carried away and keep adding a bunch of other stuff, I wanted to kind of show you where my thoughts were at the moment. But yeah, let's see whether I can get this thing finished. Okay, I just wanted to show you how it is at the moment. I've been playing around with the colors a whole lot. So originally I did it the same as Temple Pit, where it was orange against brown. And then I decided to change it up because, oh no, I still left some here, because I was doing the other two colors, which are red and, no, it was at that time yellow and red as the things that you use to score points. And the yellow just really doesn't stand out, especially when it's only a single block. And I think it is going to have to only be a single block. So what I'm going to do is do it so that the brown ones are the ones that you get 1 point from, and then you're going to get 2 points for the orange ones that are going to be kind of scattered around the place. As you can see, I'm kind of halfway through fixing how they're going to be. So this one would be a brown one, then this one would be orange, and then this one here would be oranger as well. So these, the pits, these are going to be filled with water, like some of them are. So these colors aren't going to look as vivid as they are, because I think it would kind of be a little bit too bright having this much otherwise. So yeah, it's yellow underneath there, red of course underneath there like that, and then I think the middle one I'm just going to do as just sandstone and then fill that in with water. I decided to rather than have a drop around the outside of the game, I decided to add stairs. So there's a bunch of stairs around the outside, and on top of that there are half slabs. It just makes the game like easier to watch, and when we build it you can kind of just watch the game from here rather than, there being kind of like a moat around the outside. So this seemed to make a lot of sense. So this is where the ground level would be here, and of course because they're stairs, if you're doing your tracks, like you just can't place them on the stairs or the half slab, so you're never going to accidentally place it up there at all. So yeah, that's going to be just walls around the outside. The reason I'm showing you this quickly now is because I think I'm going to change it all a little bit, and I kind of wanted to show you how it is now before I ended up changing it. So I don't know, so I know it's not going to be symmetrical, but like these bits annoy me, how like that one goes really thin there and that one's a bit wider there. Like it's these side bits, I just feel like they're, I don't know, they don't feel as consistent with each other. And as I said, it's not going to be symmetrical, but I just think I could make it look a bit nicer, and also just make it a little bit easier for when we go to build it in my lovely world, so you're not kind of awkwardly counting it along here. So I think I'm going to try and neaten it up a little bit. I've pretty much all but given up with the idea of using water to gather up the tracks, and so I kind of did this back down so it's on flat level, because it'd be kind of annoying if that was raised up, with the stairs on the other side. So yeah, a few kind of little changes, but I'm going to be making even bigger changes in the future. But I mean, overall, this is starting to look a little bit like a proper minigame. I kind of want to be able to add more decorations, and I want to be able to add some banners, and so I might do like I don't know, I might do like some blocks coming up the sides and then put some banners on them or something. I kind of want to be able to add a little bit more decoration where I can. So I might try and find some more places to do that. And then I think this is going to be one of the cases where even if I'm just doing it by myself, running around with a minecart, I want to do a few tests of it as well, just to kind of see how the game's going to work before I start building it. So yeah, that's kind of where I am now. I'm going to carry on working, and then I'll bring you back in a minute and kind of show you the changes I've made. Okay, I think the game is pretty much completed in terms of designing it. So changes since the last time. Oh yeah, quite a big change. So this side here is basically completely changed. So it's much more symmetrical. The only difference is, of course, this one just has this little extra one poking out. I realized that going like this makes it a little bit, you know, it doesn't really take much longer to get there. It just makes it easier to build. It also makes it a little bit more of a risk because this one is basically only here for like a tiebreaker. Like it's very, you know, you're generally not going to go for that one unless you've gone for all the others. I don't know, who knows, maybe someone will, especially because it's like kind of a one-way affair, like where like you kind of have to go to here and then get back the other way, because obviously if you end up going back the same direction of your own track, you're only eventually going to end up here anyway. So it's a riskier one to go for. It's mainly as the tiebreaker. I filled in all of the water. I added in a bunch of glowstones, so if we're playing at night, we should be able to kind of see what it is that we're doing. Yeah, I added a fountain in the middle just to make it a bit fancier, and it's quite good as well because it's in the Temple family, which started from Temple Trap, and then of course Temple Pit, and then now Temple Track. And yeah, in the first one, Temple Trap, there were pits of water on the floor, and then all of them have had glowstone in rather than torches, so it kind of fits in quite nicely. Obviously, it's got that same strange symbol and the banners and stuff that I added in before. So yep, they're all around here. Apart from that, there's not too many big changes. I added kind of the way that you're going to enter the game, just added some pillars, chest which is going to have all of the mine carts and tracks in, and then I put the sand on the side of the paths, just like I did on the past game. So basically, I just did a bunch of decorations and then changed that area there. Apart from that, I think it's good to go. So I'm going to do a few just tester games of it, just to see kind of the pace of the game and make sure it's all okay. But apart from that, the only thing I need to do is kind of find the perfect place in my lovely world to build it. It's very specific decorations. I'm probably just not decorations, sorry, dimensions. I'm probably just going to find a really kind of open area and build some brand new paths, because the chances of me just being able to perfectly fit this game in like in a space is pretty unlikely. But I will check the dimensions and count. It kind of ended up a pretty enormous game, but it kind of needed to be just from what the game is. And look, it's my Sky Island. You can see this actually was the world where I released for my Sky Islands, and I've just built a whole load of other stuff in. It's quite a cool area as well, and also down. Whoa, let's set this for peaceful. They can't hurt me in creative, but it's still scary. Yeah, so these thrones down here, this was actually from. So there's a video I did ages ago, which was part of a show called Meet Me at the Wreck. And there was like a part where it was Jack Black and his son got like sucked inside of Minecraft and into my lovely world, and he needed to know how to build an ice throne, and this was me designing that, and I'd completely kind of forgot about me like planning how to do this ice throne, and I just came to this stuff. I thought it was funny. So yeah, search like Meet Me at the Wreck Stampy or something if you want to see that. Anyway, I'm going on a weird detour. I've already toured my sketchbook world, but I think there's some things that I forgot to mention in that one. So yeah, this is the behind the scenes of me designing my Temple Trap minigame. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Plenty more behind the scenes coming up in the future. But for now, thanks for watching, and I will see you all later. Bye!